Welcome and good evening to every one of us. This evening, for our monthly meetup for the month of September, we will be talking about crafting winning value proposition and hands-on design thinking approach. My able colleague will be joining us soon, but I'm getting it started. Now, when I look in the room, I see that we have um, people, our audience this evening are all very familiar with the design thinking process. So I will vary a bit the way I would have gone about it. It will be more about, I'll focus a bit more about discussing the best practices, do's and don'ts of value proposition, still using the same design thinking tool. But beyond that, I will still give, as per our standard way of having our meetup, I'll still give a quick overview of what design thinking is, in case for any member of our audience here who is not so familiar with the design thinking process. Just to be sure, is there anyone here who is encountering design thinking for the first time? No hand up? Okay, good. So there we go. So let's get straight to it. Our goal for this session is to help all of us around the table have, I think I want to turn, yeah, have what do you call it, gain understanding and insight about the value proposition crafting process, and also become familiar and able to use design thinking tools for creating value propositions that resonate with customers, and then also learned concept, apply the learned concept and tools in our own business, innovation, or entrepreneurial project for impact. All right. Now, I will do a quick recap. We all know what design thinking is. It's about a human-centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit, integrates the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for business success. And about 2 or 3 slides on, you will understand why this definition is such a very important definition for us, especially when we start thinking about crafting value propositions. Okay. This is the design thinking process. It always begins with identifying a clear challenge that must be solved, then understanding the process, understanding the problem, why it is even a problem, what is the nature of the problem. Is it a simple problem, complex problem, wicked problem, whatever it is, there's always the need to understand it, not just from you, the problem solver perspective, but from the user's perspective, okay? Right from the word go, we understand it is a user-centered approach. So it is a must that you, much as you understand it from your technical point of view, you step out of that shoe and then get into the shoes of the user to understand the problem. And then you empathize with the affected users of the problem. Then you define, then you come to reframing the problem into a challenge. And we know how to do this. We use the point of view statement, which captures the user, the need, and the insight. And then we go on to craft how might we statements that help us to get into action, ideating, coming up with the best ideas, building prototypes so that we can quickly get it done, save time, save money, and then we test it. And if the test results show that yes, indeed, the solution or the idea we came up with is desirable, is feasible, and is viable, then we go ahead to implement the solution. Okay, so the definition, and then the 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 whole process aligns well. So I want to start first with asking what is the value proposition here. All of it, none of us here are first time. So to the design thinking process. So let's have a much bigger conversation or discussion around the topic for today. what is a value proposition? And please feel free to just unmute and then we have a discussion around it. I see in this room we have entrepreneurs here, we have people from different backgrounds. So yes, what is the value proposition? Anybody would like to share? Or anybody would like to get the discussion started? Okay, maybe we can start with Brian, since Brian is one person that I always can easily call. So Brian, what is the value proposition? I would like to hear from you what you think a value proposition is, and then I'll go on to Kofi and then to Anita, and then maybe I'll end with Derek. Then we can move.
All right,
Yes.
sure. So I think a value proposition is sort of a value statement of a company that explains what the unique differentiator of its products or services are and how they stand out from competitors in the market in terms of the value or function or use the consumer derives from it. So simply put, I feel the key element of that would be it's what you do, how you do it differently than your competitors, the value your consumers get from it, and how that's differentiated in their sort of perception compared to what's in the market.
Okay. All right. Yes. Anyone else? Derek or Kofi Jenfi?
Hi, Papa you. I think value proposition, well, for me, answers the, and again, good evening, everyone. For me, answers the question, why should anybody waste their time on you? I mean, if it gives people a reason to. And so that's about the statements that helps you as well as help your potential customers to define and answer the question, why? Why am I choosing you over this other person? And yeah, that's pretty much my understanding of VP.
Okay, great. I like the opening statement. Why should anyone waste time on you? If you are not giving me what I'm looking for, why should I even be spending my time with you? Thank you very much. All right, let's take the last one and then I'll bring up some definitions we called from different sources, and then we can share our views on it. Which one is truly a good definition, which one should be modified. So maybe we would like to hear from Anita. Anita, it's been a while since we heard from you. What do you think is what would you say is the value proposition?
Good evening, everyone. How about you?
Yeah, Anita, go
Please,
ahead.
please, this is Edna. So I'm using insurance account. Sorry for the,
Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
yeah.
Cool. Please go ahead. Are you sharing your view on what a value proposition is?
Yes, so, okay. So I also understand value proposition as a statement that identify the benefits customers get from a particular product or a company.
Okay, all right. So thank you. So my able colleague is in, Dr. Avi. Dr. Avi, maybe you say a quick word and then we continue.
Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to our session today. Yeah, that's what I'll say for now.
Okay, all right. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yes, so these are a few definitions or a few definitions we culled from different sources online. One source said a value proposition is the communicated benefit your customer can expect from your product or service. Is this a good definition? If it is, you could give 2 thumbs up to show that it is. If it is not, you could give a different reaction to show that, to communicate that it's not a very good definition. You could even type in the chat to say, okay, so there is a key utility to be derived from a product or service, expressed to be appreciated by customers. Okay. Oh, Kofi, I didn't see this earlier. Some music while we wait won't be bad. Okay, next time I'll do that. All right. I see some thumbs going up. So generally, everybody agrees that it is a good definition. Another definition said a statement that explains why a customer should choose your product or service. I think this aligns very well with what Kofi said earlier on. Then a third definition was a statement that clearly speaks to the customer needs and the unique value you offer. What is our view on this? Is it a good one? You could just show thumbs up, or you could type in there that whether it's good, great, or excellent. What we basically want to do is get a feel of what your view vis-a-vis what others have said. A statement that clearly speaks to the customer needs and the unique value you offer. Okay, so I see some thumbs up going. Then the next one is a promise of value to be delivered. It is not just about your product features, but about the specific value it provides to customers. Okay, then another one said, this one is from the Chartered Financial Institute, says, value proposition is a promise of value stated by a company that summarizes the benefits of the company's product or service and how they are delivered. Then a last one says, the value you bring to the table for your customer. That is from Investopedia. So yes, these are the definitions. Of all these definitions, which one comes close to what Tim Brown said in his definition of design thinking? A user-centeredness that focuses on the need and has what do you call it? User-centered approach, focus on the need, uses from the toolbox, and then the possibilities of technology, and then business. Which of these definitions comes so close to fitting the three requirements? Anybody would like to unmute and speak? Or which of these definitions stands out to be the most meaningful of what a value proposition is? Valentine, yes.
Yes. Hello, Eugene. I'm still at the workplace, so
okay.
I've been following the conversation very closely.
Okay.
So I don't know if you pardon me for now. I beg you.
I understand. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So maybe Rosina or Jifa can share their view on which of these definitions comes close to the three requirements of design thinking: desirable, focusing on the user, using your toolkit, feasible, and then also viable. Anybody? Rosina and Jifa.
Yeah, I think I'll go for the number 3 and
Number 3
because it talks about the customer needs, and design thinking is all about having to understand the customers and so I'll go for the 3.
Okay. All right. Great. Yes, Rosina, which one would you go for? Okay. All right. I can see some of our audience will have a challenge to speak, so feel free to type in the chat. Okay. The fourth one, Rosina says the fourth one, that is a promise of value to be delivered. It is not just about your product features, but about the specific value it provides to customers. Okay, the fourth one, maybe the fifth, Prof says maybe number 4, okay, maybe number 5. Value proposition is a promise of value stated by a company that summarizes the benefits of the company's product or service and how they are delivered. All right, great. Key utility to be derived. All right, great. It's wonderful, and I'm happy all of us are in a position to make a choice. What stands out when we start having conversations about value proposition is two wells of what you as an innovator or the service provider, right? What your skills, your capabilities, your knowledge, and all of that can actually create. But that is not even important or as important as what stands out in the world of the customer, okay? When we start talking about value proposition, It is that moment that you, the service provider or innovator, you must put everything you think is so great about you somewhere in the corner. Just pack it there in the corner for the moment and focus all about what the customer is looking for, what the customer needs, and what truly represents value to the customer. Okay, that if once we're able to get that part right, we're on our way to creating a value proposition that will help us win in the marketplace. Because the truth is that at the end of the discussion, it is the customer who makes the choice. And the customer is the one who determines what represents value to them or not. The customer is the one who is able to determine that this that you offered helps me get a good night's sleep. It is not about you, the service provider. It's not about your capabilities. It's not about how great your machinery or whatever it is. No, it is the customer who tells you that I'm so happy with what you offer to me. You make my day. You make me excited. I'm happy to come back to you again anytime I need. And I'll not just come alone. I'll come with my friend. Basically, what you've done is you've been able to hack the code to getting the customer to stick with you after using your product. Okay. On the customer journey map, we say the customer has moved from a point of need to a point of relief and has now moved to post-relief. That is loyalty. All right. So that is the biggest thing when we start talking about value proposition. And therefore, it's always important to keep that in mind that it is all about the customer and how I communicate to him. It's all about the customer. And when we say it's all about the customer, it means you really understand what he's looking for and you can speak directly to that need. All right, good. And I keep emphasizing on this because having worked with so many entrepreneurs, young startups, and all of that, it is always a struggle when you ask them to, what do you call it? Define, state their value proposition. Very often, the statement is all about what they can do for you and not really what you are looking for and how it fits into what they can do, okay? So we try to capture some examples of companies who have value, the value proposition of some companies. And so here is one for Canva. Canva says, Canva makes it easy to create and share professional design. Nike says, we provide fashionable, innovative, and high-performance shoes for customers in every sport to meet their changing demands. Coca-Cola says, providing refreshment and enjoyment to people of all ages and demographics worldwide. We could have our own views about this value proposition statement from these companies, but we cannot deny one thing. The customer is right in the middle of whatever they do. If you take Canva, if you're a designer and you see this, immediately in your mind, you know that some part of your life has been made easy for you. You take Nike and it says for customers in every sport, even if your sport is sitting down and doing nothing, you know Nike has something for you. And for Coca-Cola, it says enjoyment to people of all ages. So you can't rule yourself out of the refreshment. You know Coca-Cola has something for you, okay? This is essentially what we want every one of us to get, regardless of your occupation. Whether you are an entrepreneur or you are a service provider, you are an academician, even your students at any point are your customers. And in expressing, academicians like to use what they call the teaching philosophy. In expressing your teaching philosophy, you should have a user-centered mindset that resonates directly with your student. All right. So yes, let's move on. So I will invite Dr. Abby to touch on this, and then we take a few more contributions and feedback, and then we move on. Doc, ready? Okay, all right, I'll just continue. So just following up on the value proposition we just discussed, whenever you hear a customer ask questions like, how can you help me? What do you have for me? What can you offer me? What is in it for me? just take a moment and keep in mind that it is a very loaded question. It is a very loaded question because of two major things. One, that customer is a human being. And as a human being, he represents a complex set of interactions going on, okay? That customer, when a customer asks you, how can you help me? You really need to reflect and ask, what does this guy or this lady really need, want, or desire? Because behind this question is a human being with a desire to be understood and appreciated. It's a human being with complex webs of needs, and it could be basic, it could be expressed, it could be unspoken. Just think of it. If an entrepreneur walks to me and say, Eugene, I need to raise funding. I need to pause and ask, what exactly do you need? Is it money you need, or you need to grow your business, or you need to pay off some debt, or what? What exactly do you need with the funding? Okay. And sometimes you may be surprised. I'll ask all of this, and the entrepreneur will say, no, I don't need to pay debt. I don't need to do this. But I need to position myself as a business that has the potential to do big things. And one of the ways is you raise funds, you get into the spotlight, you attract new investors, you attract new customers, and you're able to move in and do new things. So yes, we have the money, but we should be seen as a business that is fundable, bankable. And that could be a very surprising insight you can get, okay? So whenever you hear customers ask you this question, you need to keep in mind some of the things that could be going on behind the scenes. Number three, beyond the complex web of needs, people attach meanings to even the problems they have, and they attach meanings to even the solutions you may offer. And a customer is in the right place to prioritize what represents value to him or her. You might be doing something so great, you think it is so important for your customer, but your customer sees it differently. Maybe when maybe you are a food vendor, people buy food from you, or you own a shop, and then when the customers buy, you want to print out the receipt, put somebody at the entrance or the exit to stamp the receipt and all of that. Customer takes the receipt and dumps it in a dustbin right in front of you, and you think, well, is it really necessary for me to even spend the money to do that? Yet another competitor elsewhere has decided, I will not print receipt. I'll take the customer's number and just send the receipt to them electronically. And you'll be surprised that customers actually appreciate that effort more than the one that you print. So people attach meaning to different things, to problems, to all sorts of things. In the customer's mind, there are certain important tasks that he needs to complete. So when you hear that kind of question, you have to bear it in mind. The customer may be experiencing some unwanted frustrations or pain points whenever they need to complete those tasks. They may have certain desired gains they want to achieve, or they would love to have, and there may be deeper motivations why they ask you those questions. So your job as an innovator is to really observe, probe, interview, use all the tools available to you to get to the bottom of it. What you may say is the underlying need of the customer. I'll pause here. Anybody has a contribution, feedback, or some of the things we put up here is an aha moment for them? We'll be happy to hear from you before we continue. 1, 2, going. Okay, you could think about it. Now, the next thing I want to just emphasize about this value proposition statement is, as an innovator or entrepreneur, or wherever you find yourself, anytime you come into contact with your customer or somebody you want to innovate for, just always remember that it's an opportunity for a value exchange. Okay, you find yourself in a place where you've identified a problem, and so because of your skills and capabilities, you want to create a solution that solves the problem. In your world, you are creating a solution that solves the problem. But when you come into direct contact with your potential user or customer, the customer is looking for value. The customer is looking for something that gives them value in terms of what they can take out, what they can take away. So basically, you create value. Now you must communicate the value so that there's a fit between what the customer is looking for and what you can do or what you can offer. And so you notice that communicating the value is in red, right? Then you go on to delivering the value. Then you must now, you have an opportunity to also capture value from the user, all right? And this is in other words, exactly what Tim Brown was saying about what design thinking is, okay? You focus on the user, you solve the problem using all the tools available you have, and then you want to make sure that it makes business sense. So you create, you communicate, you deliver, and then you capture value, right? Good. Now, as an innovator or a business owner or entrepreneur, your goal is to make sure that you are creating solutions that are desirable, feasible, and viable. So the question is, what makes a great solution? In terms of desirability, it is the solution that meets the customer's true needs. If somebody walks to you and say, I'm really thinking of signing up for the Harvard Business Review magazine, is it simply because they want to read and get more knowledge? Or is it simply because it has been recommended to them to read that particular magazine, or it is a status motivation? That's why you want to sign up or subscribe to the Harvard Business Review. You know, sometimes somebody can sign up to a premium magazine, not so much because they want to read it, but because they need to position themselves or come across as somebody who belongs to that club. So buying the book is just scratching the surface of the need. As the innovator, you need to get to the bottom and find out what that true need is. Then realistic and achievable with current resources. Then sustainable for business growth and profitability. If you can take the first box of desirability, you are very much on your way to taking the second and the third boxes, right? And it is all embedded in the value proposition. Now, a good starting point to craft a winning value proposition is to get back to basics, which is our business model canvas. And over here, I'm looking at the audience again. I believe all of us here have heard of what the business model canvas, we are familiar with it. So one of the big problems that we always encounter when we ask people to develop their value proposition is they often get confused between, do you mean my tagline, or do you mean my unique selling proposition, or is it my slogan, and so on and so forth? There are clear differences between those terms. For this, you want to focus on what the value proposition is, okay? Then sometimes you also have confusion between the value from the customer's perspective and the business perspective. It is so easy as an innovator, a business owner, or a service provider to define the value proposition from your point of view. This is the name of my business. In my business, we do A, B, C, D, and so. But like I said, it is not so much about what you can do, it's about what the customer is looking for when you want to communicate the value proposition, okay? So much focus on innovator skills and capabilities, and that's what I've just explained. It is not about you, focus on the customer. The business model canvas helps you to define and create value for your business, while the value proposition canvas helps you to create value for your customer, okay? So this evening's conversation is all about the customer, focusing on that. And where to start from, if anyone will ask, is first aligning your value proposition with the need of your customer segment, okay? So here is the business model canvas. If you are seeing it for the first time, watch out. I'm sure we'll have other opportunities to discuss it. But the business model canvas basically has the value proposition. That is what you are offering to your customer that really and truly resonates with them. Then the customer relationship, the channels, the key resources, activities, key partners, revenue streams, and cost streams. But this thing I want to focus on the highlighted sections. That's the value proposition, the customer segment, the customer relationship, and then the channel. Okay, you will notice we have proposition 1, proposition 2, proposition 3, segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. What does that mean and why do we do it that way? We understand that for every segment, you find a group of customers who have similar characteristics or exhibit similar characteristics. They have similar pain, similar needs, similar gain, and so on and so forth. And therefore, you can group them as a segment. Once you have that segment, you are in a good place to really start asking, what is it that this segment is looking for that I can do for them? And so you create a value proposition specific to that segment, okay? One of the big mistakes a lot of entrepreneurs or businesses might do is crafting a value proposition that kind of is to take care of everybody. If you are able to craft a value proposition that really takes care of your broad range of customer segments, fantastic. But it's always important for each segment, you have a clear value proposition for each of them. Okay. If anybody has any question, please feel free to just type it in the chat or just unmute and then ask the question. And because I'm not able to see the participants. All right. So what are the design thinking tools we can use for to help us craft our value proposition? Once again, the persona map comes up. In the persona map, we get to really understand who we are dealing with. Then the empathy map. The empathy map will help us to get a clear understanding of the emotions the persona is going through, how they feel about what is going on around them, what they see, what they think, and so on and so forth. Then the journey map. The journey map for me is the crucial one, because that is when you really understand what is going on in the customer's life, what jobs they want to get done, what pain points they have, and what gains they are looking for. Because in the journey map, you can see the positive experiences, the negative experiences. You can also get to see those important moments in the customer's journey that they may decide they don't want your service again or they want to continue. Then you can also get to see what kind of value they are looking for and what is important for them in their journey map. Then most importantly, you're also able to see what the customer is willing to trade off if they can't find exactly what they are looking for. Because every person in trying to satisfy their needs might encounter a situation where they get what they are looking for or they don't get it, so they have to make trade-offs or settle for something. So all of that is reviewed in the journey map. Then there is the value proposition canvas, which we'll be talking about in detail in the next few slides. Then there is the business model canvas. The business model canvas becomes so important because the value proposition that you craft or you create has direct impact on your business model. What is being looked for and what you have on offer, okay, and how you communicate it. Okay, so I've already talked about the persona map, and we can always reconnect to learn more about the persona map. But when you are working on your persona map, you want to look at what influences the persona, what is she looking for, what makes her life easier, what are her hopes and dreams, worries and fears, and then what professional information can you get about her, how does she behave offline, online, and then the demographic details. Then the empathy map I've already explained, but most importantly at the base of it is the fears and frustrations that the persona may have and what they see as success or what they consider as value. Then there is the journey map. And I think I've explained quite well enough on the journey map that it provides so much information for you as an innovator or business owner. Now, the value proposition canvas is embedded in the business model canvas now. The two highlighted in blue, this one and this one is the customer profile, and that is in the customer segment. Then the value map is in the value proposition. And your goal as an innovator is to make sure that you have a fit between what your customers are looking for and what you have on offer, okay? The set of customer characteristics that you assume observe and you verify in the market. This is very, very important. And if I may just explain, right from the word go as an innovator, even before we step out, we have certain assumptions about the person we are creating a solution for. We assume this person can afford it. We assume this person will like it. We assume this person has a similar need compared to the next person that looks like them. All these are assumptions, okay? So we assume. Then from an innovator's point of view, we make certain observations. We look at what is going on around them, and we're able to observe the way they move, they go about solving their need. We're able to observe how they handle their challenges and so on and so forth. However, there's the higher level of verification. That is when you leave your office, you get into the field and actually go and interact, empathize, step in the shoes of your customer. Here, you want to ask them probing questions. Here, you want to sit and observe the way they go about it. Here, you even want to immerse yourself in that whole process of solving the problem, okay? And you want to take notes. If we look at the great works of companies like Continuum, IDEO, and all of that, we look at the work of Embrace, Swiffer, and so on and so forth. The biggest moment for them was when they stepped out to go and be with, verify, validate, empathize, immerse, be with the user so they could get first-hand information, because out of it, they were able to get the insight that for that woman who is struggling with the mopper and the mop and the detergent, keeping a clean floor is a badge of honor, and therefore it shouldn't become an adult activity or exercise for her. Based on that insight, we're able to get to that Swiffer. All right. If we look at the Embrace, that moment where they observe that there is a cultural norm that does not allow women to be separated from their baby, was the opening point for them. So if you are an innovator, before you build your customer profile, it is okay if you read about them, it's okay if you watch videos about them, but it is not okay if you don't go out to spend time with them. That is so important, because if you do it well, you are in a better position to verify and validate whatever observations and assumptions you have about them. Then we come to the value map, which is in the value proposition. This is the set of benefits that you design to attract customers. Now, let's pay attention to the two words here, designing and attracting. When you design and everything is about, I can do it well, so let me just do it in this way, and people will see it and come to me, you miss the boat. But when you design with a mindset of, I saw this guy struggling with opening the bottle, let me make an opener that makes it so easy to open the bottle, then you are on your way to really crafting a winning value proposition. And I think this is the biggest element that anybody, regardless of what you do, must keep in mind. Very often when you say value proposition, we think of business, but on an everyday basis in our everyday life, we make value proposition to our families, to our kids, to whatever. And the principles still apply. User-centeredness, focusing on their need, and communicating the value that we have on offer. Okay, good. Now we bring the customer profile and the value map into much more detail. Let's start with the customer profile first. For every customer, in their mind, at the back of their mind, they are quite clear the things they want to get done. Okay. When I'm looking for admission for myself for graduate study, the job I have in mind to get done is find a school, find a program, find the right supervisor, find a school that has the right fees that I can pay, and then eventually put in my application and be successful. Clearly in my mind, jobs to be done. Let's take the first one, find a school. So I go online, I start looking for the school. Then I come across so many schools. I spent 2-3 hours just looking for school. And what happened? I've still not been able to make a decision. Why? There's so much information, or there's so little information, or there's so much similarity between what is on offer. I can't even make a decision. Okay. this becomes a pain for me. This becomes a pain for me. Why? Because after 3 hours of spending money on data, my time and everything, I still can't find the right food that tells me, here are the list of supervisors and their courses and the grants they have. So if you have this, if this is your subject area, reach out to any of these supervisors and then continue your process. Almost every school has so many winding processes. Okay, so clearly, even though I'm trying to get that job done, I'm experiencing bad outcomes. I'm experiencing obstacles that do not make it so easy for me to get my job done. Sometimes the pains I'm encountering even has nothing to do with you, the service provider. It has everything to do with the structures I'm dealing with. Poor internet, so difficult to download, language barrier, even cost barrier, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the fact is that every one of us at any point when we are trying to move from point of need to relief, we are clear in our mind what we want to get done. But we will encounter certain obstacles that become a pain point to the smooth execution of those jobs. Pain points don't mean the job don't get done. Pain points simply mean that those points actually make the process of getting the job done much more difficult, much more painful, much more cumbersome. If you're an innovator and you start hearing words like it's cumbersome, it's difficult, it's so long and winding, it's too difficult, then your creative powers come up. I know how to make it easy for you. I know how to make it straightforward for you. I know how to make it fantastic for you, and so on and so forth. All right. Now, in the process of looking for the graduate school to apply to, there are certain outcomes or certain benefits that I would love to have. I can still go through my application process, but I'll be happy if I click on the school and immediately there's a chatbot and there's a question, what would you like to do? Then I type in there, I want to apply for graduate school. Then the chatbot, whether it is AI powered or human powered, asks me, what is your subject area? I type in my subject area, it says, check this link. I click on it, it takes me there, and within 2 hours, I'm quite clear. This is the school for me or not. Okay, so I could still go round and round looking for the school, but whoever is behind that website has actually gone a step further to say people get frustrated with so much information. I'm going to put in a chatbot that will deliver the gains of easy information, quicker response, and quicker assessment. Okay, and some businesses have found a great way of doing it. As soon as you click, they ask you what you are looking for. Then they will even send you a link and say, do this assessment to see if we are the best fit for you. So nobody's time is wasted. So when you go out there to interact with your customers, keep these 3 things in mind. What exactly are they trying to get done? Observe their customer journey. Observe the way they behave as they try to move from need to relief. Okay, what exactly are they trying to get done? That is what we call the job to be done. And the job to be done could vary, okay? Some jobs may be critical, some jobs may not be. Some jobs may be important, some jobs may be less important. Some jobs, you may find yourself co-creating with the customer, or you may find that the customer needs to do it alone, and so on and so forth. It's all part of the job to be done. All right. Then we go on to talk about the value map. The value map, you will notice, has 3 components, just like the customer profile: pain relievers, products and services, gain creators. So at the base of it, your job as an innovator or whoever you are is to help the customer get the task, the job done. I want to apply for admission. Here is the admission form. Complete it and bring it. After whether the admission form is so long or it has so many different languages or whatever it is, at the end of the day, I can apply. The job gets done. Okay. However, this is where the point of differentiation comes in between innovators. Who is going the extra mile to relieve all the pain that come with the admission process. And who is not? Some schools you go, they just send you a pack. Everything you need is in one PDF file. No need to go browse it. Everything is there. Some schools, click here, click there, and you never finish. Okay, so what will help you stand out in your value proposition is how you think about describing the way your product solves the pain point. Remember, I said you created a value, but communicating the value is another major task. You don't communicate the value from where you think and where you sit, but you communicate it from the customer point of view, okay? So, and it's not just the way you describe it, but actually thinking through and creating the pain relievers for them. Then the next one is the gain creators, okay? The gain creators describe how your products and services create customer gain. Then, of course, we have the list of all the products and services that you created. So keep in mind, help me get the task completed, but think about all the potential pain points I could have, and think of all the potential things I would love to have, and find a way to address them, okay? Your goal as the innovator is to find a fit between me, my personality, and what you have on offer. And this applies to segments, okay? So in a nutshell, how do you create, what's the process of creating a value proposition? It's 7 o'clock, so I'll soon let us try our hands on an exercise and then we close. First one, select the customer segment. Second one, identify the customer job. Third one, identify the customer pain. Fourth step, identify the customer gain. And then fifth step, prioritize the job, the pains, and the gain. Okay, you need to prioritize, because the fact is that as an innovator, you can't do everything. As a father, you can't do everything. As a professor, you can't do everything for your students. You need to prioritize the job, the pains, and the gain. And this is where the user-centeredness comes up again. On what basis do you do the prioritization? Is it based on what you can do, or is it based on what they want? It's so easy when you rank it based on what you can do. I can do this one, so let me just do it. Find out what they want and see whether you can do it or what you can do to meet them. And also remember, as much as the user is looking for the most desirable value, presented with the right alternative or option, they might be happy to make a trade-off or going for a substitute if what they are looking for is not there. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind. All right, good. So this is what a typical value proposition canvas will look like. Let's take, for example, customer job number one. And this is for Airbnb, okay? Customer job number one is, I want to book accommodation for my vacation. Let's go to the products and services. What is the product being offered? Online marketplace. Airbnb knows this guy wants to book a place for his vacation. He probably, from the point of awareness, he's moving to point of consideration, considering option. Airbnb creates an online marketplace where when you go there, you see all the options available, the prices. So you see where the prices, the location, the customer reviews, and so on and so forth. And it's so easy. I go to it and say, hey, I like this one. I do my booking. And then customer job number two, book travel tickets. Let's look at products and services number two, seamless bookings management. As soon as you click on it, the options of accommodation plus air plus what comes up. You go to bookings.com, Wakana, all of them. They've really understood that anybody who takes the second step of the step after consideration of clicking to book, that person probably might be thinking, how can I get my air ticket and my stay and my taxi and my airport shuttle in one place so that I don't need to book on different platform or even book it separately. I want everything in one bundle. All right. Let's take a look at pains number one. Pains number one is pricey accommodation. So let's look at pain relievers number one. It says pain is guaranteed booking. Okay. So you can't do so much about some of the accommodation that comes across as expensive. But what you can do, you can communicate to the customer and say, if you book for this, we guarantee the prices will not change. We guarantee certain savings. We guarantee that you have it when you need it, and so on and so forth. All right. So yes, you can't do much about the high prices, but you've offered and communicated a certain value that says, go ahead and book. I guarantee that it will still be there for you when you come, when you are ready. All right. Then let's look at gains that the customer is looking for. Let's take, for example, number one, affordable alternative to traditional hotel booking. Let's look at the gain created, the first one, number one, network effect from having several listings. So yes, I could come to your website and you have just 2 accommodation I can book. I can still get the job done of booking, but I would have loved to have several, options, which one, and see which ones are affordable. So the service provider is using the network effect to have multiple listings so that you can make a choice. This is essentially what, how you craft your value proposition, okay? Then the next step comes in, after you've been able to do the mapping and everything, you now try to put it in a statement form, okay? The statement form, what's the time? Is 7:05, I think by 7:15 we'll try our hands on it. So the statement form, very simple, feel free to adapt it the way you want, but it goes something like, for here you describe your target customer, be specific but detailed. How can you be specific? You are clear in your mind of the segment, the customer segment. How can you be detailed? You can mention their age, you can talk about their age, you can talk about their demographic, their psychographic details. How did you get that information? You have worked on a very detailed persona map. Who needs or is looking for, describe the specific problem, okay? We have developed, then you briefly describe the type of solution and how it works, all right? Then you go on to, our solution helps generate or create or improve, list the benefits, including the emotional, social, and functional. And then unlike, you could mention a competitor, or you could just not give specific name, but unlike our competitors, our product, this is where your key differentiator comes in, okay? Now, do this with the mindset that this is a draft. And just like the design thinking framework works, you take this value proposition, go back to those customers you went to observe the first time, and share with them, hey, this is what we do, and I would like to communicate it to you. Remember, as an innovator, you create value, you communicate value, you deliver, and you capture. So the communication part, we need to test it. Go back, communicate it to them, share it with them, let them see it, and then see their feedback. Does this make any meaning to you? Is this something that resonates with you? Is this something that addresses your need? The best judges of your value proposition is neither of us here on it, but it's your customer. Your customer is the best judge, the best person to give you feedback. Oh, yeah, I think it works. I like this one, but I'm not sure you really can do this one. Then you have an opportunity to test, iterate, get feedback and all of that. You come back, improve upon it, and get the final thing. When we admire all those big companies, one of the things we forget to take notice, these companies have mastered the art of customer empathy. They know how to get to the bottom of the matter with their customers, okay? And so it is a big learning point for all of us, all right? So I want to go back and address just some 3 things. The more alignment or fit you can get between your customer profile and your value map, the better, okay? The more, the better. The more alignment, the better. Number 2, don't just focus on the hardcore things your product can do. That's the job to be done. Pay attention to the softer, deeper need, okay? Which is the pain point and then the gain being looked for. Then number 3, you recognize that as a business, you cannot do everything. But you also recognize that there's so much you can do if you ask the customer, what really is so important, what matters for you, what is what do you consider as great value? What would you love us to do for you? They tell you, then you capture it in. Okay. If you have these 3 points I've just mentioned in mind, you are in a better place to craft a winning value proposition. All right. I'm going to try to show a very short video. Then I'll share this Google link in the chat, and then we will try our hands on a very simple value proposition. So I think I'll stop sharing. Let me just play the video and see how it works. So here is the link. It is an editable version of the value proposition canvas. I want you to just open it.
Oh, I see that you shared it. So let me see if I can copy it and paste it.
Exactly. I'm trying to share it to the whole group.
Yeah, let me see.
If you open it, if you open the link, you will see the value proposition canvas. You see the game, so you see the startup name, then you design by the date. You can ignore that for the meantime, but you see the game, and you can okay. So you can actually type in there. All right. I think you just need to accept it. Then you can type in there. Okay, and it's the same for all the various components that I've just explained. What I'm going to do is to play a short, interesting video, and then I want you to, then all of us will spend time trying to, what do you call it? Develop the value proposition map, the value proposition map for the customer, okay? So this is, you assume you run a coffee shop, and your customer want to give you some feedback when you went for your ethnographic research. So let's listen.
Don't just buy a product, they hire it.
Can you all hear it?
Take, for example, a cup of coffee. When people buy a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
they're not just buying caffeinated liquid, they're buying a lot more. Don't just buy a product, they hire it to do certain jobs. Take, for example, a cup of coffee. When people buy a cup of coffee, they're not just buying caffeinated liquid, they're buying a lot more. This isn't just a cup of coffee. Hiring it to do so much more. A cup of coffee is a chance for me to get out of the office, to get some exercise, clear my head, to go to a place where people know my name and know my favorite drink, to have the ritual of creating the coffee just the way I like it. I'm also hiring this cup of coffee just to hang out in the coffee shop because it's cool. It makes me feel cool. It makes me feel creative. You sit down, take a photo, and post the photo on Instagram. So the question is, what are your customers hiring your product to do that you're not thinking about?
All right, great. I guess we all enjoyed the video, right? It was short, right? Okay, so in the interest of time, I will just I'll share the screen, and we will try to see if we can quickly being creative, what do you call it? Develop, complete the value proposition canvas for our customer. So let me just share the screen. How many of us are on the sheet? Let's start first from the jobs to be done. What are the jobs to be done? Based on the video, what are the jobs to be done, right? When this guy goes out for coffee, what are the jobs to be done? Feel free to write. I mean, just feel free to, you have access to, so this side is the jobs to be done. Just feel free to type what you think. You don't need to wait for anybody. The jobs to be done, you can just type it in there. Anyone can just type. If you feel you want to go straight to the gains the customer, the coffee guy is looking for, just go straight and type the gains he's looking for. And then if you feel you can comment more on the pain the gentleman has, feel free to just go and type in the pane. If you feel you figured out what the gain creators are, you can just go straight ahead and type in there. Wherever you feel you can contribute, just go in there and then type. Yeah. Okay. So don't touch the value proposition statement yet. After 5 minutes, I'll just access to all stop, and then we brainstorm around what we've written here and try to create a value proposition statement for this coffee guy. Okay, so in 2 minutes time, I'll just access to stop, but I would love for somebody to make a contribution to the pain and then the pain relievers. And we already have some contribution for jobs to be done. Yeah, so Anonymous Squirrel, as you work on the pain, okay, I see somebody has contributed to the pain reliever. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, good, great. So for the sake of time, I'll just ask all of us to just take a pause. If we can see clearly that there is, based on what the gentleman just shared, we are all beginning to dig deeper into what does it mean when he says the ritual of stirring the coffee and then take photo and all of that. What this gentleman just showed to us just tells us everything about how complex human beings are. Okay, now based on what we've written here, how might we string all of this information and craft it into one statement that best captures what the gentleman is looking for? That in itself is even an ideation process on its own. Crafting the value proposition in itself is even a prototyping session on its own, because you are in search of the right statement that best communicates in a way that the customer comes alive. So once again, if you have a team, you could actually get the team to come up, brainstorm, and come up with the ideas. You do dot voting and you select the best. In the process, you might merge some statements, you might cut off some statements, you might pick from here and here and combine. Design thinking is still at play. Okay, so let us use the 1 minute to try and craft a value proposition here, and then we can move on to the next. Anybody can volunteer to give a name to the customer segment, and then the rest of us, please think deeply, and I would be happy to see somebody type in a value proposition based on some of the contributions we put up here in the gain creators, the gains, the jobs to be done, and then the pains and pain relievers. Yes. Who would like to volunteer a value proposition? Somebody should take the trophy and then we just go. Yes, Anonymous Squirrel is on it. And then who would like to name the customer segment? All right. Okay. Anybody want to volunteer? Okay, one person has fallen off, but let's see, it's 7:25. All right, good. Anonymous Squirrel, I'm just waiting for you to finish with the value proposition, then I will switch back to this thing so I can respect time. I thought we normally do 90 minutes. It turns out it's 1 hour. So thank you so much, Anonymous Squirrel. All right, so what we have a value proposition. We have 2 value propositions here. I think I like the Anonymous Squirrel one. We have 2 value propositions here. Those of you who are on the sheet and still on the call, I'm going to read out the 2. Then in the spirit of dot voting, you quickly just, you can type or you can mute and say. So the first one, I'm reading from Anonymous Squirrel. It says, for you who treat your coffee time as more than a break or a cup of coffee, we offer you an experience to relax, connect with others while you enjoy your coffee just as you want it to be. And then the other one is for all people looking for a getaway moment, we offer the best coffee moments to allow you enjoy your life the way you want it to be. So let's vote. We need to, how do we finalize our draft value proposition? Do we make the two, or do we pick one that best meets it? I would like to hear from you. Remember, this is still a design thinking session, so that's the way it goes. Which one would we vote for? So maybe let me just go around. Let me see if I can see the name. Anita, which one would you vote for?
Eugene, please, between which one and which one, please?
I should read it again.
Yes, please.
Okay, so there are two value propositions here. The first one, for all people looking for a getaway moment, we offer the best coffee moment to allow you enjoy your life the way you want it to be. Then the second one, for you who treat your coffee time as more than a break or a cup of coffee, we offer you an experience to relax, connect with others while you enjoy your coffee just as you want it to be.
Yeah, I think I'll choose the second one.
The second one. Yes, Rosina? Okay, all right. So let me just, all right. So thank you all very much for participating in it. But you realize that the two-step approach to crafting a winning value proposition, no, rather the three-step is first taking the effort to capture all these details, crafting it, and then going to test it, okay? So what will be the key takeaways from this session that we've just had? Maybe let me just share it very quickly. Okay, sorry. Yeah, all right, good. The key takeaways for us, we can always trust the process, the design thinking process. And it always begins with understanding, empathizing, creating the personas, defining the POV, who is the user, what is their need, and what is the insight. Then, using the same process of ideation and prototyping, we can map the pains and gains using the value proposition canvas, develop the pain relievers and the gain creators, and draft the value proposition statement. Then, we can go out and test and validate the value proposition by sharing it and asking for feedback from our customers. Then once we have it validated, we can now come back, craft the communication, the value we are communicating, clear messaging, and then we move it out, okay? And we can also keep monitoring to see how customers are interacting with us. Out of the value proposition, we are in a good place to create our tagline, our slogan, and also develop our unique selling point to our customers, okay? So if there's anything you need to just remember, when you are developing or you are crafting a winning value proposition, you need to stay focused. You should align with your customer. You should find ways of deepening the value that you are bringing to the table from the customer's point of view. And then make sure you stay connected, okay? Match your VP with the customer needs. More is better. The more of the functional and emotional benefits you can deliver on, the better. Address the basic things that needs to be done, and then look out for the apparent things which are not being communicated, the unspoken needs. And all of this comes from the persona, the empathy, and the journey map, and then tailor the hard offer, and then the softer emotional needs. So thank you all so much. This has been how we can craft winning value propositions using a hands-on design thinking approach. So I think at this point, I can hand it over back to Prof. And Prof will give us a closing and we can go. So Prof, happy to hand it over back to you.
Thank you so much, Papa. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Yeah, this is a master class. This is a master class, on values proposition development, and I learned so much, and I'm sure others did as well. I think it's great. I'm even thinking I should go back and watch the video again, and that's also to say to those here that we normally post the videos on our YouTube channel, so you can check it out. You can share the channel as well with other people. Thank you so much for making the time and staying with us. It's always great to support each other, develop our craft and our topic areas, our craft for facilitation, our topic areas. So thank you, and see you next time. Matt is not here to give us a rundown of what to expect next time. So let me just say, see you next time.